come on in, pull up a chair, and take a load off because today I will be unboxing and taking a first look at Nevsky, which is from my friends over at GMT Games. This is the first release in a new line known as the Levy Campaign series, and it's supposed to be pretty interesting. I am actually really intrigued. So we will jump in and take a look at this 13th century war game right after this. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. As I mentioned in the open, there's a new game series that's coming out from GMT Games. It is designed by Volko Ruhnke, who, if you play any of the Coin series of games, you do know Mr. Ruhnke's name very well. Anyway, this is a brand new series called Levy Campaign, and we're going to be taking a look at Nevsky, which is from GMT Games. As mentioned, it is designed by Volko Ruhnke, with art and graphic design provided by Roger B. McGowan, Chechu Nieto, and Mark Simonich. This game is for 1 or 2 players, ages 14 and up, plays in between 1 to 6 hours. So that's going to depend on how many players you have, what scenario you're going to play, because I believe there are a variety of scenarios. And it also does carry an MSRP of $80, and it is available right now. So let's swing on over to the other camera and get our first look at Nevsky. And here we've got Nevsky, Teutons and Russians in collision, 1242. This is the first release in a new series, the Levy Campaign series, from well-known designer Volko Ruhnke. If you play any of the Coin series of games from GMT, you know Mr. Ruhnke's name very, very well. So I do believe that this is probably going to be a little easier to jump into than some of the meatier Coin games. This is for 1 to 2 players. It is for ages 14 and up, and there are a variety of scenarios included as well. So game time to play is going to be a little bit different. Just a little bit of the info on the back. It says, with all Rus east of Ilmen overrun by the Khan, Teutonic Crusaders see an opening against the wealthy Orthodox city-state, Lord Novgorod the Great. Can they gain its tributaries as converts and perhaps even seize its trade routes to Asia? Nevsky, first volume in the Levy Campaign series, unrolls a tapestry of war along the Baltic frontier of the 13th century, where town councils and papal legates loomed larger than kings. Very, very interesting. One of the things I'm really looking forward to is we don't happen to have a lot of conflict simulations based on the 13th century. So this looks like this could be very, very interesting. Let's get this open up. And first off, we got a correction telling us that to make a correction on the player aid foldout. Okay. So we got rules of play. It's like 24 pages here. We've got a background book. Oh, so we're calling it a background book. We're not calling it a playbook. So first off, let's take a look at the 2 books. I'll get that out of the way. Move that off to the side. And let's zoom in a little bit. Let's get a closer look here. Okay, so yeah, it looks pretty good right there. So Levy Campaign Series Volume 1. So we get an introduction to the game, talking about the components, the game board, and map. I have to admit, the map looks pretty cool, very interesting. So we will get to see that in just a bit. So it's showing us the different cylinders. I think we have to put stickers on some cylinders here. Got different cards. believe we have some cards as well that we play as far as like historical events, things like that. I don't think we're looking at as great an impact of the cards as we do in, say, the coin series of games, right? So, talking about the setup in the calendar, levying, of course, paying your levies. So we got campaign, talking about battle. It looks like we've got a battle mat that we'll be using. Okay. Siege, Storm, and Sally. Talking about supply and earning victory points. And then the scenarios, of which it looks like we might have a few here. So 1240 looks like this is kind of the short scenario to introduce you to the game. Oh yeah, we do have a few. We got a few different ones. And then looks like this is the full campaign game, 1240 to 1242. And then index of key terms on the back. So all in all, 24 pages. So not like 50 or 75 pages you're going to have to work through to understand how to play Nevsky. Now, we had the background book, and I always like to mention when I'm taking a look at GMT Games is I tend to read well, usually they're called playbooks. This is the first time I believe I've run across one that's called a background book. But I always read the playbooks before I jump into the rule books because the examples of play are usually pretty extensive and really kind of make the rules click for me. So we've got some play hints here. Talking about solitaire. So I mentioned this is for 1 or 2 players. So looks like we've got a pretty detailed example of play with loads of images. Very nice, very cool. Like I said, this is why I tend to read these playbooks first before jumping in. It's giving us an example of supply and forage, a battle. Siege and storm. We get a campaign synopsis of the various campaigns that are available for us to play. Histories of the various different lords. Okay. Timeline. So these are still, I think these are still lords, histories of the different lords here. I think the timeline was just a splash that was put in here. Arts of War. So it looks like it says this section provides tips on how to implement the effects of the various events and capabilities in each side's Arts of War deck, plus historical background. Okay. Cool. Nice. So it's explaining some of these various different capabilities and some of the cards. Sweet. I always love the GMT games especially when they're kind of card driven and you've got these historical events and things like that. I always love reading what these historical events actually represent. And I tell you, it's very educational. It really, really is. Then we got some design notes here and some selected sources too. Sweet. Very, very nice. All right, cool. So that is the background book. Let's see what else we've got. We have some stickers. There we go. As I mentioned, I thought we were going to put some stickers on some cylinders in that. Looks like we've got some play aids. Let me pull these out. Take a look at these. So these are commands. Oh, okay. So we've got 2. Because you can play this up to 2 players. So we've got 2 copies of this. So we've got various different commands. Talking about the forces, strongholds and trade routes, battle and storm. Kind of walking you through everything. Walking you through the round and ending the battle or storm. And then we get a sequence of play on the back. Nice. It's got some visual pop too. I definitely like that. That is pretty cool. One of the aspects of Mr. Ruhnke's designs I have found, even with coin, even if you go with like a later coin game, say like Cuba Libre, they look like a Euro game. So it's very, very easy to introduce people to the game who may not necessarily be knocked out or be enticed by just a traditional hex and counter looking war game. So very cool, like that. Okay, then we've got the Teutons. So this is their card. It's dual-sided here, talking about the different lords that are available to them. And then we have the Russians. So we've got their card here, as well as their lords that they have available to them. Arts of War Russian deck. So this is explaining the different cards for the Russians. We have the Teutons on the back. Yep. We got the Teutonic deck for the Arts of War on the back. So, once again, this also has a little bit of visual pop to it. And you're not forced to go jump right into the background book for what each of these cards or abilities actually do. So, very cool. So we've got that. And then, what is this? Just like a screen? This looks like this could be kind of a game screen that you separate the players. I don't know. It's not very high, though. Well, I could see if one player is using it, you know. But, kind of cool. I like that. It's very nice. What else we got? Oh, we got another screen. So there are two of those. So it is possible that these are like screens to hide your plans from your opponent. This looks like this would be the Russians. Sweet. Very cool. I like that. All right, so we've got some punch boards of some counters and tokens here. So let's see what we've got. It's like coinage, loot. These look like these are pretty much informational counters here. It's like these might be modifier counters because they have die faces and 1/2 and ones. It's dual-sided. Oh, 4 times the loot. Even more loot. Okay, so we got those. Then I believe these are your Lord tokens or your units. So we've got these. Once again, more informational counters as well. Looks like these are fortresses, maybe, that are worth victory points. Aha! So there we go. So yes, they are telling us that these are this is Herman. This is Alexander. Okay, so we got those. And then boats and sleds. So this is how you're moving your supplies around. And we have more of these counters here that are showing die faces. Huh. Interesting. Definitely different. Oh, here we go. So we've got militia, Asiatic horse, I should say, knights, sergeants, light horse, men at arms. Cool deal. All right, so we've got these. Now we're going to take a look at, we're going to save the board for last because I'm going to zoom out from the board. Let's take a look at, we've got some cards. We've got some boards for, I believe, the different lords. Looks like we got a couple. Wow, looks like we got 4 small decks of cards. That's everything. I always look underneath to make sure there's nothing hiding. Because every once in a while, you'll find something hiding. Okay, so first off, 6 dice. We got three white, 3 black. So just standard 6-sided dice. And we've got a bunch of. We've got some cylinders. We got some pieces that look almost like they're shield pieces. So we've got cylinders. We've got, like I said, these all kind of look like shields here. Looks like we got some rectangles, whatever these represent, of different colors. Is that all the shapes that we've got? Looks like we've got a couple of, at least two that I see, purple pawns as well. So these are the various different markers. I do believe with the white and black cylinders, that's where we're popping those stickers on that we saw previously. Put these back in here. All right, so let me open up some of these decks of cards here. I always try to use the hobby knife. It's usually a bit quicker, especially these. This plastic's pretty well sealed here, right up onto the cards, so it won't look like much give. Oh, come on, there you go. Okay. So, Arts of War. It looks like we've got Command. What else we got? More Command cards. So we have the Teutons and we've got the Russians. All right, come on, come on, come on. Okay. And then we have their Art of War deck as well. Come on. Feels like good card stock, too. Usually we get good card stock in GMT games, so that's never a worry. All right, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can kind of take a peek at each of these decks. See how far we can zoom in. There we go. So this is the command deck here for the Russians. So it's showing the Lord. I'm taking a guess maybe these are like operational points. Domash. So it looks like we just have points and the various different lords. Looks like we've got some past cards. Cool. Okay. So let's kind of go through these real quick. I'll take a stab that you probably, each of the players has a hand of these cards that they take turns going back and forth playing and activating the lords. Stab in the dark. I'm just taking a guess. So we've got, that's for the Russians. Let's look for the Teutons here. Herman, Bishop of Dorpat. There's the past cards. Heinrich. Rudolf. Nudenabel. All right, cool. And Yaroslav. Exile. The exile of Skov. All right, so we've got those. Cool artwork. It got a little, has a little bit of flash to these two, so that's cool. I like that. Then we get the Arts of War. So it looks like we get a couple of. Oh, okay. So I'm taking a guess. Now I might be wrong. I'm just taking a stab here. You can use this for either of those lords, or use this as an event. Maybe could be. All right. Cool. It does sort of look like this. Like this is for a particular lord, and this is an event or a special ability, warrior monks, hill forts. Nice. Artwork's really small, but they have quite a bit of text on these cards, so I can understand that. So, trebuchets, famine. Okay, so I believe these cards are for the Teutons. Take a look at this. I believe these are the Russians. So, and like I said, cardstock's really nice. Although I always recommend any game that you're utilizing a lot of cards in, sleeve the cards. It's just so much easier, and it adds so much more life to the actual game itself. Because especially with GMT games, they don't have huge print runs, so they sell out very easily, and it can be pretty difficult or expensive to pick some of these up on the secondary market once they go out of print. And sometimes you have to wait a few years for a new print run. All right, so those are the decks of cards. Now, let's take a look here. We've got the different lords here, almost like boards here for them. So we have the Russians. So it looks like kind of taking a guess that we've got the lord here, giving some information about that lord, and we put our forces here that lord is in command of. Taking a guess. So it appears that we'll probably, if you're playing the whole campaign, probably going to need a good amount of space at the table, because you're going to have these as well as the map and the board we're going to take a look at in just a moment. So there are the Russians. These are nice and thick. You can see right there, nice and thick, not floppy at all, you know. So we got those, and let's take a look here. We have the Teutons. Kind of take a quick peek here. So we see we've got service, lordship, and command here. So they're all of various quality. And here's here's our attack. Here's our battle board that we use. So we've got the attacker, defender, left, center, right. Put our reserves back there. Cool. That's pretty cool. I like that. This looks like it's going to be an interesting game, which I knew right away because it's Volko Ruhnke. So, final thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the board. Let's see how big it is. I'm going to zoom back out once I get this out of the plastic here. It doesn't look like it's huge, which is probably a good thing, considering that you've got all those boards for the different lords. But we will zoom back out so we can get a better look at this. There we go. It's a little too much. There we go. Sweet. Uh-oh. Whoops. Guess I'm going to have to zoom even further out. Although this is not huge. Well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's look at the top. Look at the top of the board. This way we're a little more zoomed in. So it looks like, so here we have summer, early winter, late winter. I'm taking a guess it's kind of like springtime or what. So we've got 1240, 1241. Then we get into 1242. So it's showing us the, looks like carts, boats, and ships. Winter sleds only to transport supplies, it looks like. Then we got boats and ships. So, and it's telling us how many cards get played for each of these seasons, I guess. It looks almost like we're getting kind of a historical timeline on here, too. Telling us about different battles, what was going on, raids on the Rus, invasion of the Vod. Cool, that's nice. Okay, and then we get this map that kind of looks like an old time map. So I thought this is very, very cool. So we've got the different cities. It looks like we've got ports as well. We've got the legend right here telling us we've got castles, we've got forts, trade routes. So, and taking a stab that we're doing some point-to-point movement here with this would be my guess. And then I'm taking a guess this is the city of Novgorod right here. I think this represents the city here. Might be wrong. You know, I'm just taking a guess from what I'm taking a look at here, folks. So this looks cool. I can't wait to jump in and check this out. And Of course, it does have solitaire play as well. I'm not seeing anything with like a solitaire bot or anything, so should possibly be pretty easy to play this solitaire. So we've got let's put all this stuff together here. So we've got all the different markers. We got the dice. We've got the 4 small decks of cards. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put it under here for now. There we go. We've got the Lord boards here. They're for both the sides. We've got the cool board and map. Got 3 punch boards of counters and tokens. Got these 2 different screens here, which I think you kind of hide what you're doing from your opponent. We've got the Art of War explanations. We've got the Russians card. We've got the Teutons card. We've got a couple of play aids. We got those stickers that we're going to be putting on those cylinders. We got the background book, which looks very, very cool. I'm going to be jumping into this and checking that out because that looks really sweet. Then we got the rules of play as well as our little correction note as well. And that is what we find when we take everything outside the box of Nevsky and give it a first look. So let's swing back on over to the other camera and I will wrap up. There you have a first look at Nevsky from GMT Games. I will have a review and a bit of a how to play in the near future. That's it for this time out. Don't forget, catch me live right here on YouTube, Mondays through Fridays at 7 p.m. Central, as I bring you the Daily Dope and the latest tabletop gaming news of the day. Of course, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you do, don't forget, ring that little bell because it'll not only notify you when I upload videos such as this, it'll also tell you when the Daily Dope goes live. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And of course, until next time, happy trails. Oh, I see you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking on our logo right here. If you'd like to check out some of the most recent episodes of the Daily Dope, you can check out this playlist right up here. And of course, if you want to take a look at one of our standalone videos that YouTube is recommending for you, then by all means, click right here. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer, and thank you very much for watching.